One of the big improvements in the new version of Tuplo Studio is a new order workflow. And previously you would have to come down here to the Orders tab in Navigator, choose New Order, and it'll create a blank order for you. What we've done is we've added the New Order file menu at the top of your screen. You can access it with Shift-Command-N. Highly recommend that, memorizing that keyboard shortcut. And when you open it up, it'll bring up this Add Order window. It'll let you select the kind of order type, which we'll talk about later. And you can basically quickly just search for a customer and click continue to add a order for that customer. Now, if they don't have an account, you can go ahead and just come down here and create a new customer, get their information, and that will add them to your customer database. And so the order will be associated with them. You still have the ability to do a guest checkout. If the person doesn't want to give you the information, you can just click guest checkout and that'll create an order like it did before when you're in point of sale mode for retail customer. Let's go ahead and close this. Now, in conjunction with this, we also added kiosk mode. Now, this replaces the retail mode. Previously, when you're working in point of sale, you had to go into your Tuplo settings and you would turn on retail mode. Now you can go straight into kiosk mode by coming to this menu item or the keyboard shortcut. Again, I recommend that you memorize this one. It is Control-Command-K, and that'll bring you into a full screen kiosk mode. We've got some different pictures you can select in preferences as your background, so it looks really nice. This screen is a little different than the other one in that this one's going to totally block out any interaction. And this is a security issue. If you step away from your terminal, your point of sale, you know that it's locked. The customer cannot just simply close the window and start fiddling around with your computer. They'd have to quit the application, but even if they figured out how to restart it, they'd have to enter a password. So it pretty much guarantees that no one's going to get in unless they have the appropriate credentials. Now, we did add an exit button down here. Previously, we just had new sale and no sale. No sale would kick the register out, but with exit, it basically just lets me exit the kiosk without doing anything like creating an order or operating the cash drawer. Now, in conjunction with all these settings in the workflow of orders is a new area. Go to settings under the Tuplo Studio menu. You've got this orders tab, which before had a few things, but now you've got a lot of settings. So in that new add order window, we talked about the order type. You can select which one you want to be the default. And then in addition, for the point of sale mode, most of this stuff is related to the point of sale. You can turn on or off the enabled point of sale. So basically, if it's off, you're going to be operating in that phone order style. And then you can maximize the window if you like your order screen to be full screen when you're taking orders at the point of sale. You can collapse the new order customer info. Now that's handy if you happen to like with guest checkouts or you just don't, at the point of sale often you're not taking an address. So obviously in the window itself you can expand that if you want, but just helps give you a little bit more room. There is an option to turn on to show the print panel before printing a receipt. So that's a nice option if maybe you don't have a receipt printer. Maybe your workflow is that you want to save a PDF from that print panel, or maybe you want to just adjust some things. You can choose to do that. I'm going to turn that off for right now. You also have the ability now to turn off printing double credit card receipts. You may not want to store a paper copy of the credit card receipt for yourself, in which case you can turn that off. And then finally, you can choose to enable opening the kiosk after closing or canceling an order. So when you're working in point of sale, obviously that's the typical flow. You take payment and print the receipt and the order closes, and then the kiosk mode will come back up. Additionally, down here, you can choose to turn on this feature, which basically will just create a guest account for every order. So this is basically turning on the old style of how Tuplo Studio worked, which is basically when you create a new order, you would not see the add order window. It'll just create an order and put the name retail customer in. Down here, you can, on close, you can choose what kind of receipt you want to send. You can print one, which has always been standard, or you can choose to email it, or you can print and email, or you can present a prompt to yourself. So you can ask the customer, hey, would you like a receipt printed or emailed? And it gives you that option. And then down here, you do have the wallpaper choices to choose from. There's been some really good improvements to the order window in the new version of Tuplo Studio. So I'm going to start out by creating a new order, and I'll just create a guest order. So let's say a customer came in, you started to ring them up, you started adding some products, and they said, you know what, I have an account with you, and I think I want this item shipped to my son at his school. And the old version, you would have to come in and start typing out all the billing and shipping information. Now we are able to basically go to the Customers tab and drag over a person. Go ahead and say yes, add them to this order, and it'll fill in their billing information. Now, we also have this new fulfillment type. So obviously a point of sale order is going to start out as a carryout, where the customer just takes the merchandise with them out of the store. We can also change it to a pickup or a delivery. So the nice thing about these different styles is they will show in the actual order window. You can see up here, it'll title what it is, so you know the intent of that order. The online orders that come in where customers have chose in-store pickup will show that. You'll know the intention. But on this one, we want to go ahead and say a delivery, and automatically fills in everything I need here. And I'll go ahead and update this. And it's going to check the address since I'm doing a delivery and correct it. And now I've got an order ready to go to that person, and it's associated with that customer. So that's a real big plus. Now, the next thing is, in traditional Tuplo Studio, you would have to scan or type in a product ID here. One of the upgrades is you can now scan or update, type in, paste a UPC code. So if you don't have a sticker that you've applied, but you do have the UPC code on a product, you can scan that and it'll find it as well. In addition, if you're looking up a product for a customer, maybe there's no sticker on the product that they have brought up to the register, or maybe you're in the back office doing it that way, you can now just drag over a product and it will come up in here and you can add it. So that's a nice time saver. Now, another thing you'll notice is that there's now a little point of sale icon, this little point of sale register here. And when it is on, obviously when you're in point of sale mode, it will be on. And that basically makes the window act just like you'd expect for point of sale. So when you close an order, it'll print a receipt, it'll open the cash drawer, all that good stuff. In addition, it gives you these buttons down here. There may be times when you're working at a computer that is in point of sale mode, but maybe you're talking with someone, a phone call came in and you had to open up an online order and you want to turn that off. And now when you take payment or close the order, I should say, it will not try to print a receipt. It will not try to kick the cash drawer, none of that stuff. So just a nice convenient way to go in between point of sale activity and non-point of sale. Now this is different. If I open up my preferences, if point of sale is not enabled, you'll see that button goes away and all the functionality of the point of sale will go away. So the two are related but not the same thing. I'll turn it on. It basically is a way to disable point of sale functionality temporarily when you're working typically out front in a point of sale type situation. The next thing that some of you may not know about is there is a right-click ability now to go to a product. So this is handy when maybe you're looking at an order and you're curious about that product or color or some other aspect of the product, just go ahead and click that, and that'll automatically open up your product window and take you right to all the information that you might want to access. Now you'll also notice down here, when I do turn on point of sale mode, we do have this new email receipt button. So you have that ability to send an email of the order to the customer, and it will come up with a window so you can verify that the email is correctly. If there is no, if the order is not associated with a customer, it'll still try and fill it out with whatever information is available. Obviously, if there's no email or phone in there, it will not fill it out. But if it is, it'll put it in there, and it's a great time for customers to come in. You can ask them if their email is still dimples@randoclip.com, updated if it's not. And then this would actually, if this is checked, it will update the customer profile in addition to updating the order and sending out the email. So I'll cancel that. Now, in addition to the email receipt, we do have a couple other options down here. You also have a pack slip, which has been there for a while, but there's also a gift receipt option. So you can print out a receipt that just has no pricing on it. So that's really nice when you're shipping an order and someone doesn't want the person to know what the cost is. There's or maybe you're giving a Christmas gift and you want to put it in the box and you don't want to reveal the price. There's a quote and email quote option. So some of our retailers use this because they like to kind of build orders and give it out as a quote. So really it looks like a receipt, but it will say quote at the top of it to designate that is what it is. We've made a few improvements to your product workflow. So in categories and category attributes, we've now added the ability to toggle the visibility of those items online. For example, this services group has some tuning and fitting and waxing services that they don't want to show online. And so all you have to do is go ahead and select it, come down to the More Options menu and choose Toggle Online Visibility, or use the keyboard shortcut Shift-Command-H. You can also right-click it and do the same. In this situation, I am trying to hide a folder, so it'll confirm that I want to go ahead and hide all the sub-items. And now you'll see that there is a icon denoting that this category is not visible online. Revert that. The next item that we want to talk about is in the product group window. And if I go ahead and open up the edit window, you'll notice there's an age group and gender menu. You can now easily mark those two items for any product group that might need it. Clothing always needs it. This is nice because it's a lot faster. You don't have to make a category attribute like we did before down here and assign it there. It's just by default in there. And this also improves the data feed quality that we send out to Google and Bing and other search engines as they have very particular requirements. Now under pricing, you'll notice there's a new quantity limit field. We can go ahead and set this to 4. And at this point, once I update, anybody online that tries to add more than 4 in their cart will get a message telling them that there's a limit. And this is really useful when you have products that maybe you want to make sure are highly available and competitors or maybe eBay type people don't come and buy a bunch of them out from underneath your customers. The next thing we're going to talk about is you'll notice a new icon on your visual and non-visual attributes here, over here. And the reason for this is if I pop this down first, you'll see that you can choose what kind of item it is. Is it a color? Is it a size, a material, a pattern, or some other type of attribute? And the reason for this is that the data feeds really require accurate information. So if it's a color, we need to feed the data feed particularly and say, yes, this is the color. Now, some retailers are using visual attributes actually for size because they want a image of the product they're selling, it actually looks different by size. And so that allows them to go ahead and change this, and we don't accidentally send this off. So your Google Shopping results and stuff are going to be more effective. You'll also notice over here, I'll go ahead and collapse this down, that you have some new columns. We have our inventory column, which of course we've always had, but now you have a reserved column, an available column, and then also an on order column. So these just designate, obviously inventory has always been here, and then how many are on reserve for other orders. So these are quantities of products that have been ordered but have not shipped yet. And then the available column shows the inventory minus reserve. So you can see if there was 3 of them that are on reserve here, this would say 30. And then your on order column is your open purchase orders that you have not received in yet, but it's a good clue if somebody is asking if you have something available and it's out of stock, you get a quick idea of whether it's coming in anytime soon. You can look up that purchase order, for example. In the new version of Tuplo Studio, there's been several improvements to the product tab in Navigator. First and foremost, just like the product window, when you are searching by ID, you can now search, scan barcodes by UPC, and it'll find either your product code or your UPC code. So that makes things very efficient. If you have possibly a sticker that's missing or you don't sticker your items, you can still find that, that information. The next thing you'll notice is that we've changed the tabs here. This used to be, there were 3 tabs, and you could, I think it was group, color, and then size. That was a little unintuitive. It didn't really work the way we want, so we refined that. You can now search by group, which is a great way to search when you want to go to a specific product group, compare, filter by maybe a type, but very convenient for that kind of thing to kind of see what you have at a 500-foot level. Now, if I switch over to individual, now I'm seeing the individual products within all product groups. So this is very handy for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's probably the most useful when you have a customer that is at the register or on the phone. They're asking what you have available. So let's do an example. If I have someone that says, I really want a jacket, and I want it to be red, and then they say, I need an extra large. You instantly can get down to that product. You can see the inventory level you have, or even if you're over here, you still have that ability per se. But now, as before, I had to kind of go through and look and see, okay, there's an extra large. Oh wait, there's a red one. You can see that this is a much faster way to narrow things down. Now, one of the other changes you'll notice here is that let me go ahead and find an item. In this view now, you've got a couple extra columns. There is the inventory column, of course, is there. You now have a reserved column, an available column, and an on order column. So this gives you a lot of information. Again, really quick glance to be able to tell what you have, but also how many are reserved for other orders, or how many are a total available, then also how many you have on order with purchase orders. The Tuplo Dashboard has had a few adjustments and updates with the newest version of Tuplo and Tuplo Studio. Most noticeably, the reports section has some new reports. Some of you are on older versions, so you won't even be familiar with any of this, but we do have a batch reports, which some of you are familiar with, that you can go ahead and get a quick overview of payment types and order types, summaries, department totals, and then your individual transactions, which is great if you reconcile your credit cards in particular. If we go back, there's a purchase order report that shows you your purchase orders that are open or closed, so you get an idea of kind of what your liabilities are, what assets are coming in, and it also has a report for purchase order shipments. So it's a really nice tool. Product inventory gives you some details on what's been sold, what hasn't been sold, and your profit and revenue and last time something sold. So really nice tool with the ability to filter down by brand and theme. Sales reports are really useful way to get an overall gauge. You can definitely drill down quite a bit in here. You can filter by your date range, categories, brands. You'll see these archived categories and archived brands. That's going to be the ability to look back and actually filter down by categories and brands that maybe you deleted from your active use, like maybe you carried a certain type of brand or a certain category 5 years ago, but you no longer do. You can still use these menus to get some reports on those without worrying about them not showing up. If you go down, you do have a nice donut graphs here to really be able to see your top categories and brands. You can export a CSV, and then further down you do have table data that you can export as well. And then just really quickly, you have a Nexus report, which I won't click into. It just gives you an idea of what states you might be exposed to Nexus in. This is not, actually I'll click in here. Test data here is not going to show everything quite right, but that's okay. But it will show you by state how many orders you've had for a given time period. Typically, Nexus requires you to look at the previous 12 months, total sales for that state. So again, this is not an official guarantee that you have crossed or haven't crossed Nexus in any given state, but it's definitely a wonderful tool to use when you are looking at whether you are compliant or not. And then finally, you have an email subscribers tool, which just lets you export your active email subscribers so you can import them into other tools. The last thing I'll mention about the dashboard is that we did add a sales tax integration for Stripe tax, which is nice in addition to our Avalara integration and our Tuplo basic sales tax. It's another great option. One of the most exciting updates to the new version of Tuplo Studio is a new site builder. If I go to the window menu, you'll notice there's a site builder option. Go ahead and open that up. And you can see we have your site here and several things on the left that control its layout and pages. I will mention right now that this is definitely version 1.0. We have a lot of things to add to this, but we're pretty excited about with where it's at and think it's a great base to grow from. So the first thing we'll talk about is up here in settings. You do have different areas that you can click and control the overall site. Some meta information here about stuff that you see behind the scene or that you don't see that are behind the scenes that search engines and Facebook and X and different platforms use. In the site design, we can affect the menu, layout, your logo, the color of your footer, and all the links and so forth. And then down here, we have a redirects, which may not be used a lot, but it is handy. A redirect basically lets you add a page that is no longer exists and reroute it to a new page. So that's handy when you rename something, or maybe you delete a page and you want to redirect them to the home page, for example, so that search engines and so forth have a nice experience. Now, I'm on the home page here, and you can see we've built this whole page with some of the blocks, and we'll go through that in a second. And you have the ability to add these different elements to create pages. So let's start by making a new page up here in the top right. New page. I'm going to give it a title. Let's go ahead and call it Ski Gear, not Ski Heart. And it'll automatically create a file name. This is the name that'll show up in the browser after your domain name. If I unclick this, I can actually customize it further. And then a description. Now the description is going to be what is read typically by search engines when they show a result. So it is something you want to typically fill out. So we'll put in a little text here. And I'll go ahead and hit add. And we've got a brand new page. It's empty, of course. So what we want to do is come over here and create a block to add. And I'll go ahead and select this hero block and click add. And I will mention, our blocks, we're going to be adding a lot of different options in there for video and maps and different things. So expect to see that grow. But I've added this hero block and nothing's shown up yet because I haven't added any information. I can start out by setting the background of this block, and I'll go ahead and drop an image in here. Now your images have to be dragged from your image library. So I'll click this button to open it. You will notice in the images tab that comes, or window that comes up, there's some new tabs here so you can have some basic structure separating maybe what you use for your product descriptions versus you use for the site builder. So I'll go ahead and add this image in over here. Actually, I'm gonna like this one. I'll put that in there and I'll come back. And you've got some sizing and positioning options. And of course you can replace this at any time or make it a color. But I want to come down to the title. I'm going to add a title and say ski gear. And I'll add a color to that. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to center. I'll go to the description and add a little bit of text. Yeah, that's good enough. I'll set the color to white again and center that up. And then there's a button option in here. So these, this block is kind of a pre-built design. And you also have, we'll see here in a minute, some other options for more free-form blocks. And I'll put a link in right now. I'll just put a slash to make it go to the home page. I'm going to choose a background color. I'll stay with a red. I'll make my text white. There we go. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to move on and go ahead and add another block. On this one, I will add a freeform block. This one allows me to put text and different things in here. So I've got this freeform block. I can set some basic parameters on layout and color and so forth. I'm going to keep it white. Then I can add items to that block so that I can add a text, image, or button. And I'll call this first one title. And I'll go ahead and click in here and call it save 10%. And I'll make it bold. And I'll increase the size a little bit, put it up to 24. That's good. And then I'm going to go ahead and add another block item. I'll choose the block. And I'm going to go ahead and add an image. And I'll just call it welcome image. That label is just for labeling. You can at any time come over here and change what it is so you can keep track of things. And again, I need to add an image. So I'm going to come down and just drag this welcome 10 image in here. Now the size of this is automatically set to 100% or the natural width of the image. I'm going to go ahead and say that the max, that's a little too big for me. So I'm going to go ahead and say, first of all, say that this is pixels. And I'm going to make it 200. That looks, let's go a little more. I can use my up and down arrows to go 1 pixel at a time, or I can hold shift. Right here, I'll hold shift and go, and it'll go 10 pixels at a time. So that looks pretty good. I like that. And I'm going to go ahead and add another block item to this block. And we'll make it another text. And I'll just say description. And I'll come in here. I've got some text that I have already typed out, so I'll just paste that in there. And then I'll add one more block item, a button, and I'll call this Shop Now, and I'll say that the label is Shop Now, and I'll set the background to another red color, and I will make my text white, and I'll increase the padding on this button so that I've got now I'm gonna, when I do this, I'll go ahead and click the link button so that they all change together, and that's pretty good, but I want to unlink this now and go ahead and do my right side to about 18 and my left side to about 18. That looks really good. Now my block is looking how I like it, but there's a few things I want to tune. I want a little more space. So I'm going to go to the description and increase the padding or the margin on the bottom, push that down, and then on the whole block I want to increase the padding on the bottom and on the top as well. That looks pretty good. I think I will go back to description and add a little more to the top. There we go. So there we go. Now I'm going to add one more block to this page, and I will make it a product slider. And again, we'll have more blocks coming out that let you choose custom content. So I'm going to go ahead and set some settings for this. I'm going to say I want this slider to be product based, and all I have to do is put some product codes in here that I want to show up, and I'll paste them in here. And there's my product slider, and I can give it a title, I believe. Yes, right here, and I'll say staff picks, and I've finished my page. That's about everything I need for this demonstration. So you'll find a lot of different elements in here we haven't covered. You can see right now, one thing I will mention is that our page that we just created, by default, it will not be published. So until you hit, it will not be active online. There's a toggle here to take it online or offline. So I'll go ahead and click that. Now you'll see down here I still have unpublished changes. That's because every time you add a block, there's going to be changes you make, and those will not happen instantly on the site, even if the page is online. Until you publish those changes, it will not take effect. So that lets you make revisions and play around a little bit without worrying about things changing online until you're ready. So I'll go ahead and publish. And now I'll go ahead and select this text, and I'll go over to a browser, and I'll put in that address, and there's my page. So that's how easy it is. Again, I just want to stress that the product builder, or excuse me, the site builder is definitely a 1.0. A few quirks here, but we're actively working on it. Excited to expand it and make it a great tool for managing your website.